This is Jolly from the Jolly GM, and also with me I have Bane. Uh, Bane and myself decided to team up, and we created a a how do I say it? What do we call ourselves? A organization? I don't know, but we are now Rule Sets for the People. And Rule Sets for the People is a Patreon page, a Patreon group that we established, and we are going to be doing something a little different. And our main goal is we all use different types of virtual tabletops, and Baines and myself's preferred tabletop is Fantasy Grounds Unity. But as with most virtual tabletops, you always got to wait for some professionally made rule set to come out for you can play your favorite RPG online. And there are some generic ones out there, but it's just generic and it doesn't quite really add the feel to it. So Bane and myself, we've teamed up and we've started to create basic rule sets, just rule sets for all the different types of RPGs that you people want to play. So that way, if there's a rule set or a game that you want to play on Fantasy Grounds Unity and you don't have it, uh, if you join our Patreon, we got a process, and we're trying to build these things for people to play, so everyone can play their own game. It doesn't come with all the. You're not paying like 60, $70 for all this stuff. You're just getting the free rule set, and you can put all your own data into it, and it allows you to play the game that you want to play. So everyone knows me from the Jolly GM RPG blog. I run different games and stuff, but I'm gonna just hand it directly over to Bane now. Bane has a lovely avatar of a nice green field and some trees, but he doesn't look like a tree. He's an actual real person. And yeah, I'll hand it right over to Bane, and we can start going through our first creation, which is right here. All yours.
All right. All right. Thanks, Jolly. I just want to add that the Jolly's the good looks, but I'm the brains behind the organization. So, and I'm not allowed to talk to people most of the time, but he's going to let me talk on his video. So, okay. I just want everything Jolly said is absolutely true. And these rule sets are going to be given away for free on the Fantasy Grounds forums. And like you said, if you want to support us, and better yet, if you have ideas, if you ever said, I wish someone would make a rule set, this rule set, then you need to check us out on Patreon because that's exactly what we're going to do. If you join us and you make a suggestion, or maybe you even get to vote on which rule set gets made next. And by the way, next we're making Old School Essentials, and Jolly's doing the graphics for it, and it just looks amazing. So without further ado, we're going to get into this. This is Gamma World Second Edition. So it's Gamma World that can be played with first and or second edition. It's pretty complex if you've ever played Gamma World. Lots of tables, lots of lookups. The good thing is everything's been automated for you. It's going to be very easy to play in Fantasy Grounds. So let's just start with the character sheet.
Yep.
So if Jolly opens the character sheet there, okay. So just start at the top. It's just like you would recognize from any Fantasy Grounds character sheet. There's a character type at the top left. It's right now selected to pure strain human. It could be a humanoid or mutated animal. Those are your choices. Okay. You have your attribute scores going down the side. I'll watch me. So the IN is your intelligence. There's a little tooltip there. If you hover over IN, watch, I'll change it to 3 and watch what happens to the artifact bonus. So everything's automated. So there's handlers in there that will automatically see when you update the field, and it'll change it. And I'll change dex down to 0, and I'm at a -3 bonus to hit. So it's all automated. Okay. And that's for all of those. Okay, so let's talk about some of these rollers on here. So everything is tied into this thing called a target number. So there's a box. It's bigger than the other boxes. It's down on the right-hand side, about middle of the page. It's big, says target number. Right now it's set to a 5. And so all ability score rolls in Gamma World are tied to that target number. And so, for instance, 5 would be an easy target number, okay? And so what it does is when you do the roll, it multiplies it by your ability score, and you have to roll under it. So in this case, the target number was a 90. We rolled an 86. It was a success. So that's if something's really easy, right? And you have a really high skill, it's a pretty easy number to make. But let's say it's a really difficult one and your target number is 1 and you roll it again. Now you got to roll below an 18. So that's a failure. So that's how the target number blocks works. So the target number works for not only just your ability scores, but your saves. Now they're called saves, but really they're table lookups. And so let's see. Let's change ourselves to a mutated animal here. It goes off of your Constitution score. So let's see what a 5 gets us. Okay, so a 5 with a radiation intensity, that's a radiation intensity of 5. You roll your rad, you get you take 3d6 damage, right? Let's take it down to 2. So this is a radiation intensity 2. There's no damage. It's a save. You can go up to 3. It's no damage. There's also a point in here which you could actually receive a mutation from radiation. Mutated animals and humanoids can get mutations. Pure strain humans just take a whole mess of damage. So radiation is definitely not to be trifled with in Gamma World. Same thing for poison. You can automatically look. Does this table look up? It'll tell you if you save or if there's a damage to be taken. Could be that you have instant death, right?
Yeah, so
So,
I'll just drop in here for a second. One of the things
yep,
about this particular rule set is Bane already mentioned it. There's a lot of tables that one would have to look up. So back in the 80s and 90s, when tables were all the rage with these games, it could have been quite daunting. But using Fantasy Grounds Unity and using the coding that we've got put in there, it really does this. Bane did a really good job with all the coding here, and the how easily everything flows into each other is really cool. And the funny thing is, I just want to say this: this is our first attempt. So this is something that we've just been learning on our own, and the amount of automations in here for this particular game. This is a perfect example of what a person can do with for creating rule sets, and I think Bane did a great job on this one. Okay.
yeah, and that's a. Thanks for chiming in, Jolly. And I just want everybody to know I just started making rule sets 2 weeks ago, and so it's kind of becoming exponential. So as we moved on, we kept automating, making more and more things, and so that's why I'm really excited about OSC. But okay, so you'll see that you could die. So I would just say Constitution is not a throwaway ability score in Gamma World. So the second thing, if you've ever played Gamma World, there's artifact checks. Whenever you find an item, you have to basically figure out the item, right? And so it's a really complex roll, right? There's a table, there's a couple of different dice. The artifact gets a die, you get a die based upon your character type, and then there's a bunch of different things that can happen. And so there's a artifact bonus based on your intelligence. We're kind of at the top. There's an artifact complexity. And so we'll start with an artifact complexity A. That's a pretty easy artifact that you might find in a Gamma world. So it has a start number of 15. So all I did was I put 15 in the artifact box, and now I'm going to roll it. Okay. And so what it did here, because I'm a mutated animal, I'm not really good at figuring out artifacts. Maybe I'm like a Ninja Turtle or something. I only get a D8 to roll. The artifact die is a D4. Okay, so what it does is it takes the start number, it subtracts the character type die, it subtracts the artifact bonus, and then it adds in the artifacts die itself. And so you'll see we got 15 minus 7 is 8 plus 1 is 9. And so it tells you your start number is now 9. So if I wanted to give a try again, I could put in a start number and try again. Now, artifact A's are pretty easy, and you could see you'll eventually get it. There's a possibility you could break it if you land on a specific number, but some artifacts like C is maybe a little tougher, and it starts with a number of, I think it's 35. And you'll see that here, I'll change it to a pure strain human. So pure strain human starts with a D12 die, but you can see right here, it's a D8 dice for the C, and in this case, we accidentally discharged the artifact. So if you were like trying to look at a ray gun or something like that, trying to figure it out, you may have just shot yourself. So it's pretty complex, and the artifact table goes all the way down to H. I mean, a lot of stuff here. You land on a 3. Here's a failure, automatic discharge. So that's all built in here. So GM puts an item in game, tells you what it is. You go and you can roll on it. And I see there's a debug there I got to take out. But it's all automated. Okay, so let's. You anything you want to add to the top part of this, Jelly?
No, that's going good.
Okay. Okay, so let's go down to look at weapons. So you notice there's 2 weapons on this character sheet. There's a Jolly gave me a rusted sword. He's hardcore like that. You're in Gamma World and you're going to get a rusted sword. But I also have this thing called a Colt gun. So let me roll the damage on the Colt gun. So the WC is the weapon class. There's a little tooltip. If you click on those over the WC, it'll tell you what it is. So this again is another table lookup. And in this case, it says your Colt gun attack hits on all armor classes, and that's based upon the table uh, basically row that the weapon class corresponds to. But notice also the ammo decremented down to 19. So I roll and the ammo automatically decrements. Now look at the rusted sword. So the rusted sword's a melee weapon. There is no ammo box. This is just something we added. If I were to change the rusted sword to a ranged attack, my ammo box would appear on the character sheet. And take it back to melee. Okay, different rolls. With the rusted sword damage, you're going to get your melee bonus applied. So it's +3 damage, whereas the Colt gun, it doesn't get a damage bonus. It's just a straight roll. Okay. The modifier box down here also works. So if I say Jolly says he gets a -2 because the guy's in cover or whatever house rule you're using, if I roll the rusted sword, then it's going to subtract 2 from it. You can see that, right? The reason it subtracted 1 is because I got a bonus to hit of 1, right? So it netted that out. So that's all automated for you. Going down to the armor here, we'll get into this more on the combat tracker, but just like you're used to, there's a little box here that says equip the armor. So you just click that to equip it. Okay. And anytime you click that field or unclick it, it's going to update the armor class displayed on the combat tracker. And that's important because the GM is going to be able to look at the combat tracker, and we're going to be able to, when we roll our attacks, know if it's a hit or if it's not a hit based upon what's displayed for the GM. We're going to turn that over to Jolly in a minute. So let's see. There is a force field number up here. That's part of the armor. So if you open the link for the hex grid armor, Jolly, and show people what the field looks like, you could see that there's AC at the top, and then there's also a code. That's like the artifact number, and then the tech rating is the second one, and then there's a force field number. So force field acts as temporary hit points, and that is on the combat tracker. And Jolly will show you that when you do damage and you deduct it from the combat tracker, it's automatically going to update on the character sheet. So there's that. Okay, so let's get to the mutations tab. So mutations tab. So these are physical and mental mutations. So pure strain humans don't get them, but the other two do. So in this case, we have laser eyes. And so what it does is if we do it, let's say it's an attack roll, but this one would be a physical attack, or oh no, it's coded as a mental attack. So if you open up the little, actually there's a type at the right. It says M, that's for mental, and C is for conscious. But if you open up the little link to the right, you'll see that it's coded for mental and conscious. And you'll see that it rolls. It says laserized mental mutation attack. Your roll hits on defender's mental strength of 14 or less. So if you're attacking a monster and it's got a really high mental strength, you may not hit. And if you don't hit, you don't get to do the damage. But so if you change it to physical, so let's say we change it to physical, Jolly. Yep, there you go. Now I'll do the attack. It's going to roll in a totally different table. It hits on all armor classes. So again, it's all automated, right? You don't have to do anything other than put in the item out of the player's handbook. So all automated. Inventory page, you could drag and drop items. So weapons and armor don't get drag and dropped on the inventory page. If you go look at your main page, there's little windows there. So those are all drag and drop. So on the right-hand side, there is a weapons tab, and then there's also an armor tab. I can grab another Colt gun and put a third Colt gun or second Colt gun in there. And you can see on the main page that now I have 2 Colt guns and a rusted sword. So and then you right click and you can delete that if you don't want it on there. So it's all drag and drop. So that's where you drag and drop those things. Now everything else will go on your inventory tab, and it'll maintain weight. You could put in your own currency in there, whatever you want to do. And then lastly, I could even add an item. It's just like you're used to with other rule sets. It's a core RPG function. And then on notes tab, again, you have your appearance, race, notes, and languages. So with that, I think we'll go to the combat tracker,
Yep.
Jolly, and you could talk about like how to do combat and everything that's showing on the combat tracker.
Right. All right, so here's the combat tracker. The combat tracker, you see 2 different screens right now. The very top larger screen is the what the player, or sorry, is what the GM sees, and the smaller screen down below is what the player would see. So in this particular system, we have to roll our initiatives, and we can adjust our initiatives as is. So you can, you roll your dice and you put your numbers in there, and it's the highest initiative always goes first. So the way it works for a combat tracker is to allow the GM to do most of his rolling when it comes to combat in one area, and this makes it easier for GMs to run virtual tabletops. Uh, so we try to make this table or this combat tracker as specific as possible for the GM to roll the dice. So on the top line here, you can see that you have several different effects here. You have your, or buttons that you can press. You have your effects button. If you click on that, this is where you can add effects to your character, whether he's like knocked down or if he's blinded or whatever. The second one we have here, these are the attacks. Now this attack button, this is really cool. This takes the data. I'll open up an NPC here. This takes all the data that's on the NPC right here and transfers it to a very easily accessible spot for the GM to roll. So whatever weapons and items and mutations that the NPC has is transferred directly to the combat tracker. So you don't have to go looking at the NPCs themselves. You can just open up your combat window right here and you can roll the dice. Now everything right now is based on your 2 hit rolls, and right now, like your weapon check, we have a weapon check of 5. So if I was to click on the weapon check here for the cult gun, it'll come up and it will say that yeah, look, it hits all armor classes. And we have your dice right here for your damage, and it rolls your damage, and it goes through all the different options that we have, and that's the same as it would for the rusted sword. The rusted sword, we have a weapon check at 2, and we're rolling, and yeah, there we go. Hits armor class 2 and above. So this combat tracker is fairly useful. Also, if you look at the other sections here, we have laser eyes. Now, this was the mutation. All right. So the mutation, if you roll your mutation, oh, I double clicked it. It'll come up and it talks about your mutation and how it does. So everything again is fully automated. This last section right here, this is called smart remarks. Now, this is a special attack by this particular mutant. Now, knowing that I kind of base this on the smart remarks I get constantly from Bane, as you heard earlier in the thing. So this is why I call this special attack smart remarks. So his smart remarks here, is a physical attack. You roll the die, and it comes up and it says it hit armor class 3 or above. So this is a really good combat tracker, especially for the two of us. He has 2 weeks of learning this. I'm a week behind, and the fact that Bane's able to do this, it only goes to show that I think we have a lot of potential here, making some pretty fun stuff for you guys to play with. So anyway, yeah, so that's the basic combat tracker for the mutant. If you go down to the player, here I can see his 2 hit numbers, his damage bonuses, and his hit dice. Also, if I click on the shields, that comes up where you see the person's armor class and so forth, and what their armor class rating currently is. So all the information that the GM needs to see is here to run a fast, effective combat. All right.
And
So
and
yeah,
I would point out one thing. So on the if the GM, if let's say Gamma One takes damage, so Jolly, you can reduce my hit points, reduce my force field, which is like my temporary hit points to 0, and then reduce my hit points by 10. That will automatically update on the character sheet. And so if Jolly were to do that, the character would be able to see. I don't know if you have my character sheet open
yep,
too. You could see those numbers changing in real time. And so the GM can do everything right here on the combat tracker. And I'll just add one thing. The next goal for us is to do drag and drop damage to where you can take the damage roll from the chat box and drop it directly onto the player or the NPC. That's hopefully we can get that implemented on the next rule set. That's a little more complicated, but go ahead, Jolly. Sorry.
yep. No, and that's basically it for that particular combat tracker right there. We a lot of the effort when it comes to making generic rule sets, we've realized that there's only a couple of real key features that to allow a person to play the game that makes it feel like the game that they want to play. Number one is the character sheet. So if we have the character sheet and it has like the basic functions and it somewhat looks like it and it has a feel, most players want to use it as opposed to a generic system, generic tabletop. And the other big key feature is for most individuals is the combat tracker. So what we're trying to do here is for we want to play these games, and we want to play play a game that captures the feel of these particular rule sets. So Gamma World 2E is something that we decided to work on first, and as Bane said later, we also have OSE that we are currently working on. So yeah, we got big things coming in the future here, and we want you guys to be a part of it. And but we'll get that's for later. Now I'm gonna hand you right back to Bane now. See if there's any other features that he would like to discuss.
So the only thing that I think left to point out is the menus on the right hand side. So we have new menus for armor, mutations, weapons, vehicles. So those are all created where you can put build items, build vehicles directly out of the Gamma World 2E handbook and build them directly into this as a module. So you would open up this rule set, you would basically create your items, you would export it as a module, and now you have essentially the items out of the player's handbook that you could take into any game and drag and drop onto character sheets, onto NPCs, and play your game. So I would point out that's all been done for you too. So really, this is, in my view, everything you need to play Gamma World 2E. Run a number of one shots, run a campaign. I think it's all here for you. It doesn't have some of the bells and whistles that maybe 5e does, but for coding for 2 weeks, I think we did a pretty good job with.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's all I.
I think so. I don't think if there's any complaints, well, just give us a month and then we'll have you completely blown away. Uh,
Yeah. All right. So that's it, John. That's all I got, Jolly.
All right, so we'll just talk about our Patreon right now and what we're planning on doing. So, if you guys were to Google Patreon rule sets for the people, yeah, you got the big power fist, yeah, we want to make rule sets for people to play. So check out the Patreon, and we offer 3 different tiers. Now, these tiers are pretty cool. Number one, Tier 1, this is the basic entry. You get in, you get a copy of the particular rule set, and as we're developing it, we'll get it updated and stuff like this. So this allows you to start using it as soon as we get it out there, right? Now, that's pretty cool. If you go to tier two is really nifty because tier two gets you the same as tier one, but it also allows you to enter in suggestions and ideas for us to be working on. All right, so we'll have every time we release a rule set officially, we'll put out like a poll and say, hey, what's the next rule set that you guys want us to be working on? What do you guys want to see? And we'll get all the suggestions from it, and we'll put it into a list, and then we'll make Bane and myself will make a decision until tier number 3. Now, tier number 3 is the best one. Tier number 3 allows you access to all the other tiers, allows you to make the suggestions, but it also allows you to add your vote to what particular rule set that we are going to make. So if you really want to play, we have already had one suggestion already, Legend of the Five Rings. So if there's a bunch of people in there that hey, Five Rings, we want to do it, and you get the chance to vote, hey, that's your chance to say, hey, I want a Legend of the Five Rings rule set. So we'll put that in there and we can make a vote. Now, there's a couple of other benefits of Tier 3 as well. Tier 3 gives everyone a chance who's a Tier 3 to be part of our actual play testing. So at least once a month, we will be, at least once a month, everyone will get a chance to, or more, depending on how often we need to play test. But we'll be putting out invitations for you guys to be a part of it, to play in a couple of games with us, and just allows us to test. And you get to have your input and say you might be able to find something that makes some things easier. It's all about making rule sets for you guys to play because essentially we got the 2 ones that we want to do right now. We got Gamma World Second Edition, and we're also working on OSC. But there is a dozen other rule sets out there that people want to play, and the only way for us to make what you guys want is for you guys to tell us and to tell us what features are in there. So please, we appreciate the support. Join our Patreon. This allows us to continue doing this type of thing. And yeah, so what's our goal? About 45 to 60 days per rule set. Is that what we were kind of aiming with, Bane?
Yep, I think 45 to 60 days
Yep.
is what we're gonna shoot for.
So every couple of months we'll be releasing a free rule set. Again, it's just a rule set. It's just the virtual tabletop way of playing the game. And you guys can copy and paste. You have all your PDFs, I'm sure, out there, and you can put all your own data in, create your own campaigns, and you don't have to worry about spending, you know, 60, $70 for a rule set that you had no input on. Here, you get to be a part of it with us. So we would really appreciate your support to make this for the people. Rule sets for the people, which was Bane's idea, by the way. The logo or the name, all Bane's idea. Now he had the brains on that one. He's pretty good. So rule
But the
sets for the
logo,
people.
yeah, but the logo is yours. And I just want to reiterate that these rule sets are going to be free. So we're gonna when the rule sets are finished, they're all going to be posted on the Fantasy Grounds forums. But what you get by being the lowest tier Patreon is you're going to get it before it's officially released. So when it's 80 or 90% done, you're going to have it. You're going to be able to start playing with it. If you want to give us bug reports, you can. But and then once we're sure that if things good to go, that's when we're going to release it free for everyone. So I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out that it's going to be it's not only for Patreons, it's for everyone.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
yep. All right,
Yep.
thanks, Jelly.
Yep, no problem. So guys, just don't forget you can check out our Patreon, Rule Sets for the People on Patreon. You can follow me on Twitter, JCLock75. Just look for the Jolly GM. I also have a blog where I keep up to date all my latest gaming and stuff, information and other stuff about me. And Bane, I know you have a Twitter, but I don't know if you have any other social media or things that you do online.
No, people shouldn't follow me. It's bad.
But
You can edit that out. You can edit that out, Jolly.
that's going to be the intro right there, the intro clip when
Yeah,
everyone comes in.
yeah.
Yeah, no, okay. So, yeah, guys, so thank you very much for watching the video. Again, this is just what we're working on right now. Please consider supporting us on Patreon. It'd be much appreciated. And again, this is Jolly and Bane.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
Have a good day.